But as I said before, if Godzilla shows up to the kids' playground, then all of your models, they're all irrelevant and broken. It is true. It's totally true that if I deal you double aces, then you have an advantage in the poker game. But if I take out a gun and point it at your head and say, give me your goddamn money, the double aces don't give you an advantage in the poker game anymore, right? The point is the system changed. There are new developments. I think the people that have lived in crypto industry for the last decade, they lived through a very difficult time, and I respect that, you know? And their lessons are their lessons, and you should respect them for what they learned. But just because you lived through the first decade of the industry doesn't mean that you can draw upon solely your experiences and your data sets to extrapolate the second decade of the industry, right? You fought wars with bows and arrows and spears your entire life, and I show up with a bunch of dudes with machine guns, and then you want to call the battle strategy. And the point is you're fighting the last war. And like there are elements of what you learned in the past decade that are relevant. And let's just deal with the elephant in the room here, which is if you look at Bitcoin and you look at all the other cryptos, there's a crypto economy. It's got its own future. It's very complicated and murky. We could talk about it for 3 hours. There's competitive issues, security issues, regulatory issues, nation state issues, complicated. Then there's Bitcoin, a digital property on a dominant network. It doesn't need any of the other crypto whatever to be successful. For Bitcoin to be successful, there are any of 10,000 entities. The Sovereign Wealth Fund of Abu Dhabi, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia, the Qataris, the Emiratis, the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, every public investor, every macro investor, every large company on earth, any municipality, any state, any government, there's 10, 20,000 people, they go to sleep tonight. They could wake up tomorrow morning and they could say, I think Bitcoin looks like crypto gold. I'm going to go ahead and put 3% of my portfolio in it. That means I'm going to buy $4 billion of it. I'm going to buy $4 or $5 billion of it. It's nothing to me. It's nothing. It's like figure out how important 2% of your money is. It's like that deal. It's like, I noticed it. I'm going to put 2-3% of my assets into it. We'll see where it goes. LFG. And they put the news release out on the wire, and Bitcoin doubles or triples. And then, if the Sovereign Wealth Fund of some Middle Eastern state did it, if they bought $5 billion, these people have $500 billion. Like the intelligent sovereign wealth funds, they're not, the central banks of smart countries, they're not sitting on a bunch of long-dated T-bills. They're not holding a bunch of sovereign debt. They're holding Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google. It's the day that a Warren Buffett gets up and he says to some dude that works for him, I got 50 billion, figure out something to invest it in. And the dude says, oh, well, we bought $10 billion worth of Apple, and then Apple triples. And Warren Buffett made more money on Apple stock, which was a delegated decision by a dude. He made more money on Apple stock than he made in his entire life. And he's acknowledged to be like maybe one of the most successful investors of the last 100 years. And yet the thing he made the most money on was like an afterthought. So back to what does this mean to Bitcoin? It's like some dude with a $400 billion balance sheet can delegate to a portfolio manager to look at this thing. And that portfolio manager can say, I'm going to put 2% into it. And if you pick up the paper and you read that the Sovereign Wealth Fund of such and such state bought $5 billion worth of it, what happens is the next 5 countries, they think they'll put $5 billion into it. And then what happens next is somebody at Google will say, I guess we can hold $5 billion of it. And then somebody at Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley will say, I guess we probably should grab some. And then Ray Dalio with his $50 billion or $100 billion or $150 billion. Okay, well, I guess instead of like 0.5%, maybe 3%. Okay. And then all of a sudden Bitcoin spends from 40,000 to 150,000, 200,000. And I guess what I'm telling you is there's 10,000 people that could make $5 billion in 30 days if they wanted to bend over and pick up the money without taking a risk. And it's literally like they might just notice you. They haven't really noticed you yet. But at the end of the day, the future is going to be determined in part by the past. And in part of it is what the crypto industry thinks and does. But a lot of it is a function of what one regulator could get up tomorrow and put out a press release that would double the market. Any politician, there's probably 200 politicians. There's 10,000 big companies. There's 10,000 big institutional investors. There's 10,000 big governmental entities. Here's the big idea. The things at a tipping point, you don't need them all to agree. You just need anybody to agree. All you need is 1, 2, 3. One will tip 5, will tip 25. And then you spin up by an order of magnitude. When will that happen? I don't know. Is it an if? It's not an if, it's a when. It will happen because I can't really imagine that we live in a world where 30,000 people don't want billions of dollars of money. Sometimes I'll talk to these big investors and they'll say, what's this thing with Bitcoin? I say, well, it's digital properties, the dominant global digital asset network, and it's a lever. And here's the reason it's better than credit or bonds or real estate. Here's how it fits in your portfolio. And they're like, I got to think about it some more. And I try to always be very polite, but in the back of my head, I'm like, you have $25 billion in your portfolio and you generated 2% yield last year, which is downright embarrassing because the S&P was up 25% and a freaking robot could have got 10x what you got. And I'm thinking, you must not like money that much. I'm listening to you. I'm telling you, take $1 billion, take $2 billion, buy Bitcoin, put out a press release, explain why you bought it, and wait, and you're going to double your money.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.